The art of fashion design is something we frequently discuss over here on the YouTube channel, and mindful viewers will note that in my bios, I even refer to myself as such. But we haven't really had a chance to explore my own work over here in video form yet, so I figured as a nice treat, our end of year video will be a walkthrough of the yearly design/art event that I do on my social media platforms called Dress-sember, as well as a bit of a wrap-up of the year towards the end. Stick around, because the acolytes that watch the video all the way to the end get to see the last 2 Dress-sember designs before everyone else does. Wink wink, nudge nudge. But what exactly is Dress-sember? Dress-sember is an art project that I started entirely out of my own volition over on Twitter last year during December of 2023. I had been inspired by the yearly Inktober and Mermay sort of art prompts, but I didn't really see anything around for clothes. I saw a lot of YCHs with different outfits that you could use provided by many great artists, but I didn't specifically see any that were oriented towards fashion design. And so I took it upon myself to create one. Now, Dress-sember is entirely without prompts. There's no real direction. It's just seeing what I can come up with once a day, every day throughout the entire month of December, as well as January 1st, because I think it odd to include New Year's Eve without including New Year's Day. And with that, why don't we break down all 32 dresses that yours truly drew through the month of December. Starting with day 1, dress 1, I titled this dress the Sunshine Bride, and truth be told, it really was just sort of a let's get the month started sort of thing. I often tend to also shy away from colors like this robin's egg blue and this very pale yellow because they aren't really colors I tend to gravitate towards in the everyday. Part of what I want to accomplish with Dress-sember is pushing myself to try different color palettes and different shapes, and so I wanted to start with that right out of the gate with our dress, the Sunshine Bride here. Dress 2, day 2, however, immediately goes back into what I'm very much into with the dark colors and gothic motifs. This dress was entitled Starlight Forest and was, in fact, inspired by forests at nighttime. The deep greens and sort of almost ocean-like blues that you can get in the sky when you look up during the peaceful nighttime of the woods. I wanted to go for a semi-Victorian silhouette with a lot of drama and a nice little lacy shawl because I think that's a really nice, very pleasant detail. Day 3, dress 3, we entitled Blood and Grit, and this was slightly inspired by VTuber Viscerae. You should go check her out. I'll leave a link for her down below. And the black, red, and white color scheme, which is actually pretty popular, and for good reason. It's eye-catching and really, really, really nice to just look at. I wanted to sort of play into my own wardrobe, and just more gothy elements, because that is what I'm used to. It was still fairly early in the month, so I was being a bit more lax in terms of challenging elements in regards to my designs. Moving on to dress 4, day 4, I titled Elsa and I, as this was inspired directly by an Elsa Schiaparelli gown. They're almost a one-to-one, but not quite. I wanted to put my own flavor on it, and I do tend to gravitate towards black and red quite a bit. I imagine this being made out of a velvet material, at least for the main body and the corset portion. And who doesn't love a large floppy hat? I know I do. Day 5. This one is called Royals. I was originally going to entitle it Fulgrim or The Emperor's Children because that is exactly what it was inspired by, the pink and purple and gold sort of corrupted Slaneshi color scheme. I wanted to boil that down into something wearable, and I think I did a fairly decent job here. It also just looks fun. It also kind of gives off jester vibes, I think, with the colors. I would love to, as a sewist, try to make a skirt that has these large chain motifs on it. I'm not entirely sure how big you would be able to go, as it would get quite weighty, but I think it would be a really fun design challenge. I also think that combining yellow and purple or gold and purple is a really fun challenge to take on as well. So day 6, dress 6, is a remake of an old gown. I'll pop it up here on screen, entitled The Midnight Librarian. Now, I have very little experience in digital art. My degree actually lies in mixed media installations, and we'll show a few examples here and maybe even talk about that in a future video. But I really wanted to, with everything that I learned from 2023 going into 2024, by practicing on stream and alone in my private time, I wanted to revamp some of these dresses. And the concept for these dresses was a librarian whose dress changed in accordance with the time of day, and this is the midnight version. Following that, for day 7, we did the nighttime version, and night and midnight are very different things. Don't try me, I know better. And this is the nighttime version, and I love that both pieces have a bit more weight to them. They feel much more developed. I'm really proud of the learning that I'm able to do, and the accessories feel much more delicate. I very much enjoy seeing how these changed over the course of, a little less than a year, if we're being honest. And then finally, day 8, we have the sunshine, or the daytime version of the daytime librarian dress. Again, working with that blue and yellow. I wanted to do my best to avoid any unnecessary green element. The gradient here, I think, worked out beautifully because it's two very soft pastel versions of the colors. To be honest, even though I am more of a goth-oriented lady, I would wear this. I love big dramatic blouses and even bigger, larger, more dramatic skirts. I just think it would be fun to maybe prance about in something a bit brighter. Day 9. Now, the title of this dress is In an Abandoned Church Out West, and it was inspired by a lot of horror art that I have been seeing online in the last year, as well as actual photographs of abandoned churches, usually somewhere out in the Midwest. And every so often, someone will get the bright idea to place a bright red cross in the image. And something about that is just very powerful to me. We can dissect religious trauma at a later date, but just, again, using red and black, it's a common color scheme, but I think you can use it in really creative ways here. Overall, I still wanted to keep the dress relatively simple, and I wanted the shape of the gown to speak for itself, letting that slightly modernized, old-timey sort of silhouette come through. A very quiet kind of eeriness. There's a certain feeling I get in my body when I see this dress, and it's very, very satisfying. Day 10. Day 10 is another interesting dress. So not too long ago, and I mentioned this streamer in my previous video, The History of Pants. Go check it out if you have not done so yet. I was on stream with Marin Go Round and several other of our friends, most notably Horatius the Dwarf. Also check him out, link down below. And we were browsing through r/stupid foods. Yes, you heard that correctly, r/stupid foods. And we saw a picture of a cocktail. So evil, so foul, so dark, and it was Gonster. The answer is Guinness and Monster. That's what we saw. It was a glass of Guinness and Monster, and what was horrifying to me was the fact that Monster is denser than Guinness. But what Horatius pointed out, and what I found to be particularly interesting, was that there was a beautiful color gradient in the glass, and Horatius proposed unto me a challenge. Faye, can you make a dress inspired by the Gonster? And now here we are. I think I did a lovely job working in both the shape of that sort of stemless wine glass around the hip area, as well as that interesting, very dark, almost black brown into that classic monster green sort of gradient. A lot of people said that this resonated with them as a Loki inspired design, and I can definitely see that with the pops of gold, which I pulled from the Guinness logo itself. Don't drink Gonster, kids, it's bad for you. If you must drink, do it responsibly. Let's see, day 11. So this was the point where I felt I was relying a bit too hard on Clip Studio Paint's symmetry tool, and Clip Studio is my primary art program, and I wanted to try to start breaking out of that just a little bit. I also pulled for another color I don't commonly reach for, which is pink, so this dress is entirely comprised of shades of pink. I didn't want to stray too far off from using the symmetry tool because, to be quite frank, I was a little bit nervous. So I mostly opted to put the asymmetry in the skirt. And I really love how it looks here because it has this, it's very classy, it's very elegant, but there's just a little bit of spice with just that little bit of height on the right side of the skirt and that nice sort of trailing bit as you move down and get more of that longer sort of hemline. It was also a little bit inspired by depictions of Persephone and sort of Greek drapery as well. Moving to day 12, this is where I completely abandoned the symmetry tool and told myself to stop being so afraid and just try. And so I did. This dress is simply entitled Blue. I worked with a singular color in a couple different shades, couple different tints, couple different hues. And I mostly used the preset gouache brush and preset gouache blender for this gown. And I'm very, very proud of it. I think it's very beautiful. I think it's very simple. And I really think I could push this concept farther if I really wanted to. An even bigger bow, a more dramatic asymmetrical hemline, more drapery around the bodice, just simple things like that. Maybe we'll see what I do with it next year. Day 13. So there was a Friday the 13th this December, and I wanted to make a gown equally as dramatic as the day itself tends to be, and this gown is entitled Star of Malice. I wanted to make an evil dress, and I think I accomplished that. I love space themes, I love galaxies, I love stars, nebulas, and I also wanted to take a black and orange color scheme and see if I could play with it without leaning too far into stereotypical Halloween, and I feel I did a fairly decent job at that. Day 14, after working so hard on the previous day, I wanted to just sort of take a break, and I had a lot of Junji Ito on the brain, and Uzumaki had come out not too long before. We don't need to talk about what happened with Uzumaki, it's really sad. And it's just circles. This dress is entitled Circles, Circles, Circles. I really love handkerchief skirts. The one thing I regret is I didn't try to play more with the colors in this one, but I'm still really proud of it, and I think it looks like a really fun, playful outfit. Again, something else that I would love to try to make myself and wear in the waking world. Day 15 is entitled Morning, and we'll get into this a little bit more towards the end of the video, but this month was really difficult for me, and I did something very different with this in that this dress does not have any line work. It is all just painted using the preset gouache brushes as well as preset watercolor brushes and the lasso tool to clean it up. There's no real line work in this gown. And that was actually a very freeing experience. I highly recommend, if you're painting clothes or if you're just painting very simple things, to play around with not doing any lines at all and see where it gets you. It's maybe a cliched piece of artistic advice, but if you ever want to just sit down and play, I highly recommend it. Day 16 is entitled Poison. I was thinking about carnivorous plants, and poisonous plants, specifically, funnily enough, Venus flytraps and the pitcher plant, which does not translate at all here, but I just wanted to create something that looked a little bit toxic and a little bit outlandish, perhaps even a little bit garish and tacky in the fun way. That's what I wanted to do. Day 17, I titled this dress Iris, and I was looking back over at vintage 90s couture and runway shows, and I wanted to combine the fun drama of a full massive tulle skirt with a deep plunging corset and a leather jacket, and I wanted to play with a fairly uncommon for me color combination, which is red and purple. I really enjoy the way this one came out. Day 18 is called Arachne. I just wanted something spider themed. Shout out to my spider tubers. You don't get enough love and you deserve way more. Spiders are cool. Day 19, I fell in love with the default watercolor brush that Clip Studio has to offer. I also just really enjoy celestial themes. This dress is entitled Stardust, and I wanted to make a sort of glittery homecoming or prom-like gown using only brush strokes. The corset, I believe, was still the default gouache brushes, but again, just a few simple brushes, a couple simple star stamps, some chain brushes, and I think we have a really beautiful gown. Its companion piece, this is entitled Sunfire, because, and spoilers for later, I can't seem to do a day without a night. There's always a sun for my moon and a moon for my sun. And orange is not a color I reach for. This is one of the few pieces in my portfolio that is just oranges and yellows. There's no reds in here. This is all orange and yellow, again, using the preset watercolor brushes, which again, I highly recommend for painting sheer materials, and they're just fun in general to play with. Moving on to day 21, Barbie. I wanted, again, more pink. I wanted more pink. I was trying so hard to pick colors that I just didn't play with a lot of. And so we had the blues, the yellows, the oranges, and now pink. And as I was trying to come up with an idea for day 21, and I was still very much enamored with watercolor brushstrokes and depicting tulle, I remembered when I was small. Yes, at one point, your 9-foot-tall eldritch seamstress was in fact small. Not much smaller, but still small. I just remembered being a little lass and playing with my dolls, and I remembered the distinctive look of 80s Barbies, and I wanted to capture that feeling I had in a gown. And it was so much fun just keeping it relatively simple and just playing and then adding that little extra finishing layer of glitter on top of it. I think it's important to indulge in a little extra femininity every once in a while. Day 22, this lovely dress is called Stella, and I just wanted a very in-your-face star lounge singer gown. I wanted to play with the concept of a shooting star with, that glitter trail that you see in the movies behind them. That very, make a wish, it's so romantic sort of thing that you see, in all the movies and in the books and such. And then we move on to day 23, dress 23, entitled Aurora. So for those who may not have been a part of my earlier content making career when I was streaming, the abyss that Seamstress currently resides in is located somewhere underneath the great country of Norway. And in my time being here, I've actually gotten to see the Northern Lights a few times, and they are positively gorgeous, and I wanted to distill that beauty into a gown. Day 24 and subsequently day 25 are both reboots that I did for the holiday gowns of 2023 Dresscember, one themed after Krampus and one themed after, of course, Santa Claus. And I really think the differences speak for themselves. Day 25, or Christmas Day as well, again, I much enjoyed this gown, much better than its previous iteration. I learned that less is more. And overall, I'm just much more happy with the silhouette. Now, it's been 25 days, including a holiday. The month has been rough. What do I do for day 26? At first, I thought, it's still sort of Christmassy, so why don't we do the angel on top of the Christmas tree. That'll be great. Everyone will love that. And then my brain went, no, make it biblically accurate. So here we have day 26. This dress is entitled Seraphim, and it is our biblically accurate angel gown. I couldn't quite make the super realistic scary eyes work for this particular style of dress. This is likely a concept I will absolutely revisit in the future, but I am absolutely pleased with the way it came out, and I think so far, out of all the things I've made this year, with the exception of a few commissions I can't quite talk about yet, it's probably one of my favorites, including Days 27, or Seraphim's sister dress, Swan Song, because I am nothing if not a big ol' pile of cliches, and if there's a good angel, there's a fallen angel, damn it. And my god, I love these sinister vibes that I managed to put into this dress. Also, shout out Homura Akemi, the very low-key inspiration for this particular gown. I also would tear the universe and the law of cycles apart for my girlfriend if I had one. Day 28, also entitled Gallery Wear, was entitled by the RPG Maker horror game Eve. It was a game that I went through for my first ever birthday as a streamer and content creator, and I wanted to spruce up Eve's main outfit just a touch. Day 29, again, back at the watercolors again. This one is entitled Seafoam, and I just wanted to really play with those soft teal, oceanic sort of colors. And I also had the movie Aquamarine on the brain at the time, if you couldn't tell. Day 30, or The Flesh, was inspired by, I'm not even gonna hold you here, I've been rewatching Hannibal a lot, and I think subtle, gory gowns are some of the most beautiful thing in the world. See Alexander McQueen's Anemone dress collection if you want to get my meaning even better, but I just think it's something we should have more of in the world. And now for the big reveal of the last two gowns of our Dresscember event. These will go up here first, and will not be posted until after this video has been up here for a good quick minute. So for those of you who stuck around, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So let's take a look. This dress for day 31, that is today, December 31st, is entitled The Twilight Zone. It also has a second title, simply The Moon. And I pulled this and subsequently its sister dress that we will see here in just a moment from a series of moon-themed gowns that I did prior in the year. And these dresses were very meditative exercises for me, as most of these dots were hand-placed. I managed to find some stippling brushes on the Clip Studio Asset Store, and I simply sat myself down and placed dots, much like how one would place beads on a gown, and let the creative process sort of take over. For this one in particular, I didn't want to include any color. I wanted it to be black and white, as I was, and still am, going through a bit of a dark period. But with all dark periods, there comes the light, and our New Year's dress for this year will be the sun. I love this gown. I love the reds and the oranges and the yellows and the feeling of warmth that I get when I look at it. I think it's an excellent note to end on, especially given that this year, 2024, has been very difficult for a lot of us. And I want to start 2025 with all the fire and brightness of the sun, with that power and strength that that particular symbol brings. And I feel like this dress has that power and has that proper symbology. It is a strong dress. It says, I am here. It is warm. It is bright. And it is magnificent. And I hope you enjoyed going through all of these dresses with me. And if you'll indulge me for a moment, let's get into our year-end wrap-up, shall we? This year has been a series of ups and downs. I completed my first year of streaming and VTubing, and then I promptly ended streaming. But I didn't end VTubing. I came over here to YouTube instead, and the people and community that I have found here have been incredible. The support for the things that I do, and this whole large experiment really has really surprised me in the best possible way. And I don't regret spending that year streaming, and I'll likely go back to streaming sometime in the future. I have met some beautiful, wonderful people. I have had so many laughs. I have done so much, and so many people have come to me and told me that I've done positive things for them, and that's all I could ask for. That's all I want to do. The downs this year, however, have been very, very hard. I have suffered a lot of loss in just this month alone, and I am doing my best to work through all of that so I can be here and be present for you all. And knowing that you're all there, as my acolytes, as community members in my Discord, as people who used to watch me stream, or even if you just lurk on the YouTube channel from time to time, it really means a lot. Please do not be afraid to tell a content creator that you care about the things that you're doing, because you will be surprised at how far a simple positive comment can go. And extend that to the rest of the world around you. Tell people that you love them. Tell people what you like about them. Tell people that you care about them, because you never know what someone may be going through, whether that might be something incredibly difficult or something incredibly amazing. Sometimes you just need to hear from another person, hey, good job. And that is what I would like to end this year on with all of you. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience, and thank you for being you. I hope that this next year, whatever it might bring, also brings you joy and happiness and good things, just all around positivity. I wish that for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a happy new year. And if I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And most importantly, good luck. I'll see you in the next video though. Wink, wink.